What's up, everybody? Artist Anderson here. Let's get started. I want to talk about something very important. Beware of marrying this type of woman. I was reading Proverbs chapter 7, and a few things stood out to me, right? When you look at Proverbs, and I'm going to reference it, I have it pulled up right here, right? Just to give you some backstory, this father is talking to his son, and he's explaining to his son how to identify a woman that's trying to either distract you or destroy you, etc. And so today I want to kind of reference that in relation to how a man should choose and vet for a wife. So you have to avoid this type of woman at all costs, right? You have to beware of this type of woman because I'm gonna say this once, I'm gonna say it twice, I'm gonna say it forever. Stop blaming women for the choices you made. You must learn how to vet a woman properly so that you can find a wife. All right. Marriage is great for men. All right. When you look at Proverbs 7, let's look at what it says. So you can read the whole chapter on your own, but the father is trying to give advice to his son. And he says in verse 5, he says, verse 4, he says, love wisdom like a sister, make insight a beloved member of your family. So, first, men, you have to gain wisdom, right? You have to gain biblical wisdom, godly wisdom, right? Make love wisdom like a sister, make insight a beloved member of your family. Let them protect you from an affair with an immoral woman, from listening to the flattery of a promiscuous woman. Now, when you skip down to verse 10, right? I'm not gonna read the whole thing, I'm just referencing it for this conversation. This is the type of woman you have to avoid if you're looking for a wife. Pay attention. Verse 10, the woman approached him, seductively dressed and sly of heart. So first thing, right? We live in a culture where the way people dress, especially women, is a big conversation, right? Let's just listen to wisdom. If you're looking for a wife, you have to pay attention. How does she dress on a day-to-day basis? How does she dress going to work, going out, hanging with friends, etc.? It says, the woman approached him seductively dressed and sly of heart. Now, when you read the whole chapter on your own, you'll see how she approached him. But for the same time, you can read that on your own, right? So the first thing is, an immodest woman is not a woman you typically want to choose to marry, because odds are that's going to be an argument that you're going to be having for for some time in your marriage, right? You want your wife to already know why dressing a certain type of way is important, right? Now, don't be worried about being shamed or called insecure or anything like that. Just stick to your values, stick to your principles. Don't get caught up in the whole shaming tactic, right? Immodesty being used to get a man is a red flag. You don't want to choose a woman who has to use her body to attract men, right? That's not the type of woman you want to engage with and one day marry. You don't want a woman who uses her body as currency. All right. So wife material is built with intimacy and connection, not seduction. All right. That's the first thing. Now, it also says, and sly of heart, meaning you don't want a woman who's manipulative. Beware of a manipulative woman. Why? Because when you have to have real conversations, when you have to have real dialogue, when you have to have hard conversations, you want to be able to talk to your wife knowing that she's not trying to underhand you in the conversation, manipulate you, use her feelings to control you. All right? You want to be aware of craftiness and hidden intentions, right? So when you are looking for a wife, when you want to get married and you need to start vetting for a wife, pay attention to how she communicates, especially when she's upset or especially when she's not getting what she wants. Pay attention to how she moves in conversation, because this is going to be a very, very big indicator on the type of woman she will be when you marry her. All right. The third thing, look at what it says in verse 11. It says she was the brash, rebellious type, never content to stay at home. Never content to stay at home. Don't date or marry a woman who doesn't like being at home. It's a sign for larger issues. Don't date or marry a woman who does not like being at home. I'm not saying she can never go out. I'm not saying she should never go out. What I'm saying is a woman who always has to be out and about, in the spotlight, in the club, doing something, spending money. That's going to be a frustration to you. Now, if you're rich and you can afford it, by all means, have at it. But for the average man, if you know you cannot afford it, if you know it is a financial burden on you, don't try to live and impress beyond your means. Understand that you should not date or marry a woman who is rebellious, a woman who is brash, a woman who is argumentative, a woman who is um independent of counsel or knowledge, or a woman who's not coachable or teachable. And I would say the same thing to women. Don't date a man who does not have a leader. Don't date a man or marry a man who doesn't have a source of authority. This goes both ways, but today I'm just talking to the men about how to vet a woman and how to choose, right? So the thing is, I see men all the time make bad decisions because of what their eyes see and how they capture, how their eyes are captured by the attention. I mean, how women capture their attention based on what they see. And so you want to be very careful about that, right? Because if you, let's just be honest, when a man sees something he likes, depending on that man, he's filtering that woman a certain way. And for a lot of men, it's hard for them to separate the sexual connotation or ideology of a woman from what he sees when he meets her and wants to get to know her. But for disciplined men, for wise men, for men who are looking for a wife, you have to separate the two. You have to separate her looks, her beauty, her sexiness, etc., away from the personality, the mind, the intentions, the character of the woman. You cannot choose or marry a woman or date a woman. And this is another thing, real quick. If you're looking for a wife, be careful who you spend your time dating. You should be getting to know this person. I'll save that for another day. Get to know the person. Don't spend too much time trying to wine and dine and all that stuff. Get to know the person for real, for real. Have real conversations. Have your questions lined up. Get to know the heart of the individual quicker. Why? Because you don't have time to waste. So, back on subject. A loud and stubborn woman is not a woman you need to marry. An obnoxious, brash, rebellious, don't want to listen. Don't waste your time. Just don't waste your time. You don't have time to be going back and forth. I can't tell you how many men I've counseled. I can't tell you how many couples I've counseled where I had to talk to the man separately because he is so frustrated at the fact that his woman or his wife is just somebody who always wants to argue, always wants to fight, always wants to press, always wants to push buttons. Pay attention when you're getting to know somebody. Pay attention to how they communicate with other people. Pay attention to how they interact with other people. Always be mindful, fellas. And this is not a woman bashing thing. I'm just telling you, there are great women out here, wives type, great women out here, mother types. You just got to stop choosing the wrong ones. And I'm tired of men saying, "Oh, ain't no good women out here no more. Ain't no good women out here no more. Ain't no good." There are plenty of great women. They're all around you. You just don't notice them. Because if I could be honest, men, you can be hypocritical at times. You say you want this type of woman, but you only give attention to the opposite type of woman that you say you don't want. Let's be honest about that. You say you want this type of woman. She got to be this, 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 and this. But you give all your attention to the opposite type of woman. You're putting all your energy into smashing the other type of woman instead of taking your time, paying attention to the wife material. And then for a lot of guys, you get wife material and you mess it up. But I'm not going to talk about that today. So look at verse 12. It says, she is often in the streets and markets soliciting at every corner. Now, this is not just about prostitution. This can be also a lesser version, but just as impactful. When somebody refuses to enjoy their home, enjoying being at home, or let me give you another connotation and understanding of it. When a person does not like to relax and sit back, when somebody is unstable, restless, unanchored, right? They always have to be going somewhere, doing something. That's not the type of woman you want to marry. I know it may sound good in the beginning, but I am telling you, when you start building a family, you cannot expect her to just automatically change the day you get married and the day you have children, because the way when you dated her, this is who she was. It is wrong to try to manipulate her and force her into being somebody different now. So you have to think ahead. You cannot just think in the moment. Fellas, you can't just think in the moment. What type of wife do you want to marry? What type of woman do you want to spend the rest of your life with? And oftentimes, a woman who is always needing to be somewhere, go somewhere, it's a sign of something deeper. Just like men, it's a sign of just something deeper. And oftentimes we don't catch these things before we get involved and get our feelings involved and get our families involved and get our children involved, etc. So here's what we got to be able to do, right? Pay attention. Does she like being at home? Does she enjoy the comfort of her own home? Is she okay with missing out on some events? Is she still content, and is she still happy when she doesn't get to do all the things she wants? Because see, that's the type of woman who's going to be content when the kids come, when she needs to take care of home, or when you may have a down year financially and she has to do some more stuff to help out, like, and she can't do all the things she wants to do. Like, you have to make sure that you know how to identify a woman, right, who is going to be a great wife. Look, listen to this. She threw her arms around him and kissed him, and with a brazen look, she said, I've just made my peace offerings and fulfilled my vows. You're the one I was looking for. I came out to find you, and here you are. My bed is spread with beautiful blankets, with colored sheets of Egyptian linen. Come, let's drink our fill of love until morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses, for my husband is not home. Be careful of women who have flattering speech, says all the right things, but for all the wrong reasons. Be careful of women who play the field with a bunch of men. And there's a way to vet to see if this is happening. I'm not going to go into that detail today. But you have to understand, you have to learn how to identify these things very clearly when you meet somebody. Marriage is not a bad thing. Marriage is not something you should run from. You should run from women who fit this type of mold, because they are not wife material. I say this all the time. Not every man is marriage material, and not all women are marriage material. People can bash men all they want. People can bash women all they want. But all that is a blame game. The truth is, some men are not marriage material. Some women are not marriage material. Can you men identify wife material beyond the surface? Proverbs 7 is explaining the type of woman you need to avoid, right? You don't need to marry a woman who has thirst traps on social media, who's attention seeking online. You don't need to marry a type of woman who's a club hopper. You don't need to marry a woman who's obsessed with luxury and image and status. That's the type of woman you fall in love with, and she has the wedding and everything is good, and then real life hits, and now you're miserable because she's not happy because she doesn't have the viral moments every day. We need, as men, right? I've been married 7 years, together with my wife. Together, we've been together 10 years, married 7. I am happy with my decision. Happy with my decision. I love my wife and I like my wife. We don't sit around the house arguing. We never argue. I know y'all think it's normal because people fill your head with that foolishness. Arguing is not normal. It may be normal to people, but it's not a normal thing that should be happening. Some people listen, you can normalize anything, negative or positive. It doesn't mean it should be happening all the time. Just because it's happening doesn't mean it's normal. It's normal to the people it's happening to. Me and my wife don't ever sit around the house and argue. Ever, 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 ever. 7 years in, we do not do it. We just don't do it. We have conversations, and that's it. Here's the reality. Be leery of a woman who can't submit to God, but also be leery of a woman who only can submit to God. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy out loud. We have this thing in our culture where people will claim to be submissive to God, but they don't submit to no other authority. That's a dangerous person, male or female, right? Because anybody can say they're submitted to God. It doesn't mean that their actions are lining up with that. People who resist correction, people who resist direction, people who resist any type of wisdom. Like for men, you have to avoid that type of woman. Everybody needs to be taught. Everybody needs to learn. Everybody needs help. Be careful of marrying a woman who avoids all of that. You can't tell her nothing, can't teach her nothing, can't help her with nothing, can't correct her on nothing. But she can do all the correcting on you and all the telling you what to do and all. No, be careful about that. If she can't be led, she can't be wed. You want a woman who fears the Lord, which is going to cause her to honor you in marriage. You want a woman who enjoys and desires to be a helpmate because she's willing to be supportive to you and willing to help you on your mission and not distract you from it. Somebody who's willing to help you make the home an environment to live in that is safe for you and the children. Because men, if you want this out of her, you better be providing it for her. Because you're the head, you're the leader of the home. You can't expect nothing out of her that you ain't doing first. You got to lead by example. But that's another conversation for another day. Right? Look for a woman who is supportive and submissive, even when it's not a husband type thing. For example, she might be very submissive and supportive at her job, very submissive and supportive at her church, very submissive and supportive at her workplace, very submissive and supportive of her brothers or things of that nature. Like there's a heart behind the submission. There's a humility behind the submission. That's what you want to be able to see in her before you date her and marry her. Right? You want a woman who's committed to helping you build a home, not just a look for everybody to see. Right? I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna wrap it up with this. What I showed you in Rome in Proverbs chapter 7, right, is just some examples. Right? When you look at verse 21, it says, "So she should seduced him with pretty speech and enticed him with flattery." Like Verse 26, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Men, you have to learn how to vet. Men, you have to learn how to vet. You have to learn how to vet women for a wife. You need to get married. Please. I don't like to speak on nobody's situation, so I'm not going to say no names. But there are men out here going down quickly, getting sued, getting losing everything, all type of stuff. All types of men have like ministry and sports. Get you a wife and live happily ever after. Learn how to vet. Getting you a wife is a protection for you. My wife is a protection for me. She's a protection for me. And then I surround myself with men that are going to hold me accountable to the standard of which a man should live who's married. Who you surround yourself with matters after you get married and before you get married. But when it comes to vetting a woman, you need to watch her daily character. Examine her circle. Examine her closest friends. Examine her family. Observe how she handles correction, how she handles frustration, how she handles submission. Don't just fall for what you see. Don't just fall into the lust trap. We live in a culture where so many women are using their bodies to trap men to get a boyfriend and to eventually get a husband. I'm not saying that all women who dress provocative are bad women. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be careful of what you draw and attract to, because you might try to want her to change after the fact, and it may not be a easy transition, because she's going to say, well, when I was dressing like this, you had no problem with it when you first met me. You ain't had no problem with it when we was dating. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful, fellas. A wife type of woman doesn't need to be provocative or show her body to any and everybody. Now, this may be offensive to some people, but it's coming from pure intentions. Fellas, there are great women out here who are marriage material. Learn how to find one and vet them so that you can get married and safeguard your life, because marriage is a safeguard for men. You just got to learn how to choose. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Just wanted to come on here and talk about that for a second. Listen, do me a favor. Like the video, share the video. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Forever Love Relationship Network. Subscribe, click the notification bell. Also, go to our social medias, TRY, the number 4, Ever Love. That's Try Forever Love on all of our social media pages. Like, follow, and share the video with somebody that you think it could help. All right. We appreciate you. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube as we continue to build. We appreciate you. Check y'all later. See y'all soon. Watch how we flipping it. Watch how we living it. Watch how we winning it. Watch. Yeah. Watch. Yeah. Watch. Watch. Watch.